Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I am back for another game accessibility video. We are not taking a look at a specific game today, but I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a double feature here one day. And in the other video, we're going to take a look at, I'm going to do a quick little hardware review of the Xbox Series S. I just picked up one of those over Cyber Monday. But in this video, we are going to do kind of a companion piece to that. And we're going to take a look at the dashboard and accessibility features of the Xbox Series S. Kind of how it, the accessibility features, a little bit of how it is to navigate, maybe take a look at the store a little bit, that kind of thing. So I'm at my PC right now, and I'm in the Windows 10 Xbox app. And they changed how you remotely control your Xbox. There used to be a bunch of icons down the left-hand side of the screen. Now, in the upper left, you have your profile, and then there's a little button to the right of that, and that is your consoles button. I click on my Series S. When you set up the system, you can give it a name, and I just called mine Jesse's Series S, so it's easier to figure out which one it is. And now we are going to do remote play.
Notification from system. BGFH has started playing remotely.
And there we go. Xbox Remote. We're at our dashboard. And what I will say, so far, especially having streamed a few PS5 games to my PC for a few reviews in the last couple of months. When I was doing that, I kind of noticed, all the PS5 was wired. My computer is wired to the router, and so is my Xbox Series S now. And even then, I think that so far anyway, we'll see how it goes in today's video, but so far, the Series S seems to be less laggy, performs better. I don't know about Wi-Fi because that was a bad idea when I did that with the Xbox One. It was really, really choppy. If you always have the option, go wired. If you're going to do remote to like your PC or something, it will just work better. But I really don't notice like even as little bit of lag that you do when I was streaming the PS5 stuff and covering like The Last of Us and a couple other games this fall. So we are at our Xbox dashboard. If you have or if you've used an Xbox One, the dashboard interface and accessibility features should be pretty familiar to you. If you are new to game console accessibility, I will say that the Xbox Series consoles is quite accessible. And the one thing that I would say the Xbox has over the PlayStation 5, both have full screen readers for their dashboards, but I would argue that the PS5, as good as it is, Sony really needs to learn what an alt tag is. Sony needs to label their images, especially when it comes to their store, because yeah, there is a little bit of unlabeled images, and a lot of them are tile based. You got these tiles and their graphics, and they're not always labeled, and so you really have to go into them and guess what they are. So far, I haven't noticed that as much of a problem on the Xbox Series here. So our home screen, we start at the top, and basically our first screen is our list, basically our games and apps. So you got your recently used, you get your games and apps quick access here. You've got your a couple little ads
Navigation.
or features,
Discover. Marvel's Midnight
couple
Suns.
discover things
Claim your
here.
perks now. Button. Advertisement. Button. 3 of 3. Claim your perks now. Button.
Claim my perks
Marvel's
now, whatever.
Navigation. My games and apps. Button.
There's where you go to find all of your games and apps, but on
Resume.
the top row,
Launch. Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors, yes, of
for
course.
Xbox Series XS. Press the menu button for more options. Button.
I
Press
had
the
to
Y
get
button to search.
the
Press the view button
Xbox
to
Game
customize.
Pass version.
1 of 1.
Why not? And what you notice here, the one thing that I would say, especially if you are totally blind, there's going to be a bit of guessing because it is not a straight up and down menu. A lot of the dashboard stuff, they use different tiles, and some of them are different sizes. They're uniform here. We've got a 2x2 grid, or a 2 by 1, like, well, they're uneven horizontally, but they're 2 rows horizontally, so that's not bad. I can hit the left and right trigger to go previous or forward and back by group. So if I hit the right trigger,
Content block.
there's our
Microsoft Rewards block.
content.
Block 1 of 9. Xbox Live Gold block.
There's our
Block
gold.
2 of 9. Entertainment block. Block 3 of 9.
Entertainment.
Events block. Block 4 of 9. Game Pass block. Block 5
Game
of 9.
Pass.
Store block. Block 6 of 9.
There's our store.
Friends and community updates block.
Okay.
Suggested apps block.
And then we got some suggested apps, and then we
block.
got a customize, add more block.
Quick resume.
I'll hit my left bump
button.
or left trigger.
Store block.
So let's
block
look at the
6 of
store
9.
here.
Store button. Launch section. Section 1 of 2.
Hush. Like I said, on this screen, you can, especially if you have some usable vision, you can kind of see you have the store button that will take you to the store right on the left, but then you have like a big banner that's advertising, I'm assuming, some kind of a sale right now. And then below that, you have a 2x2 grid of, they're almost like big buttons almost. I'll show you what those are in a second. And then on the right hand side, you have 3 more kind of rectangular tiles that are advertising or focusing on other things. So the problem is it's not a uniform up, down, left, right, a 3x3 grid or whatever. Sometimes you have big icons, small icons, and if you're just using Narrator on its own, if you don't have any usable vision, you may want to arrow around the page with the D-pad on your controller a little bit because you might miss something. So let's say we got
contents, store button,
store,
launch content section, section 2 of 2, buy 1/get 1 sale.
Okay, that's a Ubisoft sale.
Button.
I saw that yesterday. We go down.
Add more block. Block 1 of 1.
So there's add
New
more.
Games coming soon. Button. Top free games. But top paid games. Button.
So that's your 2x2 grid, and then on the around the right-hand side,
FIFA 23.
You got a FIFA ad.
Need for Speed Unbound.
Got a
Available
Need for
now.
Speed Unbound ad.
Xbox Game Specials. Button.
And Game Specials. So if I hit the left trigger.
Game Pass block.
Now the Game Pass. This one again, it's got some irregularly sized tiles. So I'm not going to dive into every screen here, but just know you probably want to do a little bit of, up, down, left, right, just really explore these screens because, if you're just using text to speech, you may miss something. But, you can go into the store, you can search, all that kind of cool stuff. But let's go all the way back up and let's take a look at accessibility. So if I hit up, that'll take me to my profile. If I arrow to the right,
search button, 1 of 2, settings button.
And let's go into settings.
Settings window, general, 1 of 6, selected.
And so on the settings app, you have a menu on the left, and then your options are kind of long rectangular buttons on the right. Usually there are 2 or 3 columns of stuff. So again, you're going to want to arrow around there a little bit. But general, I'll just show you really quick.
Network settings. Network, TV and display, volume and audio output, power options, online safety and personalization.
So that's your general.
General account, 2 of 6.
Got all your account settings here. That's pretty self-explanatory.
System, 3 of 6.
System,
selected.
This is where you
console
get
info.
console.
Updates, 2 of 7.
There's where you can check for updates.
Language and location,
Language.
3 of time, 4 of 7.
Time.
Language, backup and transfer, access restrictions, storage devices, 5 of 7.
You want to manage your storage. That's where you can do all that. So that's kind of your system area.
3 of devices and connections, 4 of 6.
Devices, this is where you can manage, there's an Xbox accessories app, so you can adjust things in your controller. They can have updates. I do have the official Xbox headset, which I don't think I've actually done a hardware review for, so that might be coming in the fairly near future too. I was going to use it with my PC, but then ended up using another one. But now that I have it, I actually really like how it works with the Series S so far. So basically there's an Xbox accessories app, and a lot of times when you go into a setting here for your devices, it will actually take you into that app. So for instance, with your headset, it'll take you to, you can do different EQ settings and stuff like that. But let's go down again.
Preferences, 5 of 6.
Preferences,
selected.
Let's see, what is under here again? I forget.
Notifications, 1 of 5.
Oh, okay, notification.
Capture and share, 2 of 5.
Okay, capturing.
Activity feed, 3 of 5.
Okay.
Capture and break reminder, 5 of 5.
Okay, set of break reminders.
Idle options, 4 of 5.
And idle options. Okay, so let's go back.
Accessibility, 6 of 6.
Accessibility.
Selected.
Here's the main focus of the video. So let's explore this a bit because there's some really nice features in here.
Narrator, 1 of 9.
So let's go into Narrator.
Narrator on checkbox checked. Narrator is a screen reader that reads text, buttons, and other items on your screen out loud. Narrator works best with a keyboard. Some things may not be read with a controller. Narrator now uses a standard keyboard layout.
Right, so what's nice about that is if you have any familiarity with the way that Narrator works on Windows 10 or 11, it'll work very similarly here. And even with the controller, it's pretty intuitive. It works very well. So let's go to the right-hand side because that's the only thing. You got the description and then on-off on the left. And let's go to the right.
Narrator options, button, 1 of 5.
You got Narrator options.
Change the voice narrator. Input learning mode on checkbox unchecked, 2 of 5.
You got a basically a key, basically like your screen reader has a keyboard help mode. Narrator has the same thing, whether it's keyboard or controller. So that's cool.
Controller shortcuts, button.
Controller shortcuts you can read about.
Shortcuts for keyboard shortcuts.
Keyboard shortcuts.
Warn me when turning narrator on checkbox unchecked, 5 of 5. Choose
so
this to show a confirmation message when turning narrator on in the power menu.
This was off by default, but it was on by default. I turned it off. Because a lot of people, like you see so many of those articles or videos are like, why does my phone keep talking to me? How do I turn off the stupid speech? When I turn narrator on, because there is a controller shortcut to do so, to turn it on and off, I just want it to turn on. I don't want it to ask me every time, are you sure you want to turn on narrator? I just want it to turn on. So I disable that, and so when I do the shortcut, it'll turn it on or off. Let's head back up to
input narrator options. Button,
narrator options. There's a few neat things
under
here.
Voice, Microsoft David.
So we got a few voices, couple female, couple male.
Choose a voice for volume, slider at 50.
Volume.
2, speed, slider at 11. Pitch, slider at 10.
And then on the right-hand side,
read out idle content checkbox unchecked, 1 of 2. Let narrator read out the things on your screen when your console goes idle.
So that can be handy if you really want that, but when the console goes idle, usually I kind of want it to be quiet. Because maybe I'm on the phone or something, or I'm away and I just don't want to constantly blabbing. I remember on the PS5, I was in, I think, God of War, and it would keep, like if I paused and I had to get up and go to the kitchen or something, it would just keep repeating every 5 seconds. It would repeat the whatever prompt I was on. So it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I don't want that.
Narrator key, caps lock or insert, combo box, collapse.
Okay, so if you're using a keyboard, caps lock or... That's good. You definitely want that.
Narrator on checkbox checked.
Okay, and then we'll go back here.
Input learning mode on checkbox unchecked. Controller shortcuts, button.
I'll just let it read a little bit of this for you so you get the idea.
To turn on narrator, press and hold the Xbox button until it vibrates, then press the menu button. Or, with Kinect, say Xbox, turn on narrator. Double tap Xbox button, switch between controller and narrator mode. A button, activate current item. B button, go back. X button, repeat last item / stop narration of current item. D-pad up / down / move to previous / next item or text. 1 of 2.
So there's a whole bunch, and if I arrow to the right, there's even more. But one of the cool things that they have, and remember when I've covered games that have had text-to-speech in them, like I'm super glad they have text-to-speech, but one of the things that I've always said that I kind of wanted was the ability to temporarily silence the speech, especially if it's reading something long and I might be recording a video. It could be really nice just to, have it quickly shut up. And I can do that with the X button here. What I've found, though, and I need to play with this a little bit more to figure out where it does and where it doesn't work. Like in the settings here, it works fine generally. But when you're on the regular dashboard, I found like when I was on like the stores, the store section, or even in the store, if I went fully into the store app, it didn't really seem to work, and sometimes it would back you out of something. So I don't know. I wish there was a little bit more consistency to how that feature worked. Maybe it's just something I have to figure out a little bit more. But so let me arrow to the right here.
D-pad left / right / jump to previous / next focusable item. Same as shift.
So I hit the X button. Silence. That's really, really cool. I really like having that feature. I'm not going to go through all of the commands, but like I said, all you got to do is go here and you can reference, like you get the controller commands, and then if I
narrator
go back,
on checkbox narrator controller shortcuts, Keyboard shortcuts.
You have the keyboard
button,
shortcuts
4 of
too.
5. To turn on narrator, press the Windows logo key plus Control plus Enter.
That should sound
Press
familiar.
again to stop. Caps lock or insert plus page up slash down, caps lock or insert plus Control plus up slash.
Shush. Okay. So same kind of deal. You got a couple tabs of keyboard commands for narrator if you're using a Bluetooth or USB keyboard.
Narrator on checkbox.
And that's
check.
narrator. Let's
Narrator
back out a level.
Narrator. Magnifier. 2 of 9.
We got basically Windows Magnifier only for Xbox. Again, if you use the keyboard, you'll know these commands right off the top of your head. Very similar.
Magnifier on checkbox unchecked. Magnifier is a tool that zooms in on part of the screen so you can see text and images better. Controller shortcuts. Button. 1 of 5.
Same thing.
Keyboard shortcuts.
Keyboard shortcuts,
button,
controller shortcuts.
Follow controller focus checkbox unchecked.
So if you want to follow the controller focus,
follows the controller focus on the screen.
I'm probably gonna. I don't know why that's disabled. I probably want that to be enabled. Actually, there might be a time in the game where you may not want that to happen, but on the menu, like I said, there are times where you may or may not want that. So I'm gonna. Well, let's just leave it how it was.
Warn me when turning magnifier on checkbox unchecked. 4 of 5. Choose whether to show a confirmation message when turning magnifier on in the power menu.
So just like narrator, you can have it say warn you every time or not. I said, no, don't warn me. When I want magnifier, I want magnifier. Don't ask.
Large on-screen keyboard checkbox checked. 5 of 5.
And you have an option for a larger screen
keyboard.
So that's cool. Well, of course, narrator will also speak your on-screen keyboard, which has come in very handy so far for searches and things and logging in. All right, so let's go under. I'll just show you here.
Controller shortcuts.
Controller shortcuts.
To turn on magnifier, press and hold the Xbox button until it vibrates, then press the view button. Zoom out. Left trigger. Zoom in, right trigger. Pen, left stick click. Double tap the Xbox button to lock magnification and use the controller normally.
So there you go.
Magnifier
pretty straightforward.
Unchecked.
And then, of course, you get your keyboard shortcuts.
2 of 9. Captioning, 3 of 9.
Not too many options under here, but I'll show you what's here.
Captioning off. Radio button. Selected. 1 of 3. Closed captioning displays screen text of relevant info, typically real-time transcriptions or descriptions of the audio portion of a program. On using default style, radio button, non-selected, 2 of 3. On using custom style, radio button.
So you have basically a preset or a custom style. And that's all you have for captioning. But it is here. That is a very good feature to have.
Captioning. High contrast. 4 of 9.
High contrast.
High contrast. Off. Combo box. Collapsed. 1 of 1. Turn on high contrast to make on-screen elements easier to see. This will prevent your personal color and background from being shown.
Now, interestingly, you don't have, like Windows has, high contrast dark and light. It doesn't seem to really have that. So you kind of you have your regular theme or you have your kind of one preset dark theme. But there are a couple other, you can do color blind filters. I'll show you where that is in a moment. But you do have a high contrast mode if you want.
High contrast, night mode, 5 of 9.
Night mode, that is basically you can set it at like sunrise, sunset, do it your own schedule, or just manually turn it on and off. It's kind of like your nighttime blue filter that people will use. That's been a really kind of a popular feature on devices the last several years. So you got those.
Hot captioning, magnifier, narrator, controller, 6 of 9.
You got controller, you can rebind your buttons.
Button mapping, button, vibration settings,
vibration settings.
Copilot settings, button.
Copilot settings. Now,
combine the input from 2 controllers so that 2 people can play as one.
I don't think you can do this over an internet connection anymore. You used to be able to, and for whatever reason they took it out, because I do remember a couple of other blind content creators who used to use this online so that like the sighted user could help them navigate a game environment. But then when they got to combat or some other thing, the blind person could take over. Now, if you are in the same area, if you're in the same location, you can use separate controllers and do that. Or maybe you have a mobility impairment and, you can't use a regular controller, but maybe, some people might use their foot for part of their controller. And then they can have another controller in their hand and they can kind of do different things, especially when you combine that with like the adaptive controller and things like that. It could be a pretty powerful option for people.
Controller, game and chat transcription, 7 of 9.
So game and chat transcription. There's one feature under here I want to draw your attention to. I'm going to go in here.
Speech to text checkbox unchecked, disabled. 1. Settings are loading. Text to speech checkbox checked. 2 of text to speech voice.
So I like to enable text to speech.
2 of 3.
You want
Turn
that.
on text
that's
to
mainly
have your
for
party
chat.
Text chat messages read. Text to speech check. Speech to text checkbox unchecked. Let games read to me checkbox checked. 404. Some games can read aloud certain words that appear on screen. Choose whether you want games to read to you.
I highly recommend if you're going to use Narrator on the Xbox, go into this area. It's not under Narrator, it's under, what do they call this section?
Game and chat transcription.
Game
7
and
of
chat
9.
transcription. Go
Speech
in
to text check.
here.
Speech to text. Let games read to me check.
So let games read to me. You want this to happen because if you're in a game, let's say like Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon, Minecraft Dungeons, and if you want those types of things to read to you, your Xbox can kind of pick up on that. And the same thing with Windows games. Like when I downloaded Minecraft Dungeons and I think it was Forza Horizon when I had my old rig. If you have that on, and then it'll just recognize that, and then the in-game stuff will speak to you if you have if the game supports text-to-speech or narrator. So definitely go under there. That is going to help automate some of your letting your text-to-speech work. And in some games, I don't even think it will work if you don't have that let games read to me checkbox check. So definitely check
Game
that.
and chat transcription. Audio. 8 of 9.
Audio. There's a what is there? There's a mono mode in here.
Mono output checkbox unchecked. Mute navigation sounds checkbox unchecked.
Mute.
1 of 2. Mute notification sounds checkbox unchecked. Power chime on. Combo box. Mute startup sounds checkbox unchecked.
So you get your power chime and your startup sounds,
box,
and that's basically what
audio,
you have
8 of
there.
9.
So not too much in there, but can be handy.
Color filters. 9 of 9.
And here's your color filters. So like if you have color blind or anything
combo
like that,
box, collapsed.
there's a lot of options here you can kind of
color
tweak.
Filters. 9 of 9.
And that is your accessibility menu. So you have quite a few things for blind. Your narrator is pretty, it's getting more robust with a few more navigation features. And it's cool because I didn't show you, like you can hold down, not only can you hit the X button to silence speech, but then you can hold it down as like a modifier, and then you can use your D-pad or left and right triggers and stuff. So you're using your X button as a modifier, and that way you can kind of like read what was last said, and like there's a whole like reading line by line or whatever. It's really kind of neat actually. So they're giving you some of the base level screen reader reading functionality, not just whatever you're highlighting. So kudos for that. That is actually a really cool touch.
Home
so
window,
there's your
resume,
settings.
Launch, settings, press the menu button for more options, button, press the Y button.
So I can hit X there and it did work. That's good. I already talked about the tiles. Like I said, some of them are, they're kind of irregular. Like you don't know how many, you could have a 2x2 or a bigger and smaller tiles. It can be a little bit confusing. But once you use their interface enough, once you get used to the screens, you should be able to kind of figure it out more. It's just in the beginning, you might overlook some things just because of some of the different size tiles. And if I go up to my profile here,
21,969 gamer score.
if I hit A on that,
profile window, profile 4,
BGFH, I can go in here,
Jesse Anderson, my profile, my account, button, my subscriptions, appear offline, combo box, collapse,
but if I go to the left from here,
my
oh no, that's on a different menu. Never mind. Never mind.
My profile, appear, my guide for BGFH window.
Yeah, okay, so I back out.
6 of 6.
When I hit
the Nexus
B,
button for power options.
Hush. It takes me, like, it goes to my profile, but then when I back out, it takes me to more of a generalized menu. And here, you have tabs across the top. It's kind of a little vertical pop-out menu that has tabs, like almost like a multi-page dialog box. So if I hit left and right,
home and my games and apps.
There's my far left one, home and games.
People tab, 2 of 6. Parties and chats tab, game activity tab, capture and share tab, profile and system tab, 6 of 6.
And I can just arrow down on any one of these, and then I can see what other options are in there. So you can do your profile, your friends, and games, and all that kind of stuff.
Home window.
Let's go down.
Launch, settings, press the menu button, navigation, my games and apps button.
So my games and apps.
My games and apps window.
On the left-hand side here, you've got a menu again, just like your settings. You have a menu of, like, I've got my games here.
Apps, 19 items, groups, 2
groups.
items.
I haven't done anything with that yet.
Full library,
full library.
679 items, button.
So this is where you're going to find, like, I've got stuff from the 360, from the Xbox One, and now from the Series S. I've got a whole bunch of stuff in there from Game Pass, from some of the free games that they give you, if you get the games with gold. When I remember to download, or when I remember to claim those, I've got a bunch of games in here.
Manage, button,
And
5
then
of
I can
5.
go in here and manage.
Manage window, games, apps, and storage. Storage devices, button, queue, button, updates, button, free up space, button, settings, remote act, subscriptions, button, network transfer, keep my games and apps up to date, net tile size, button, 5 of 5.
So there you go. You got a few different
My games
options
and
there.
apps window, set storage usage, all storage, 271.3 GB free, 25.5% used.
Okay. I was honestly thinking, with all the things that I downloaded the other day, that I would be much lower on storage than I actually am. And I am going to be getting some expanded storage. I'll talk about that in my hardware review video. Um, but that is the one downside to the Series S is, yes, you don't have 4K in that, but you also, your internal storage it's technically about a 500 gig, but you only have like 300 and some. I forget what the total is, but it's like 300 and some gig of space. And again, especially if you download a lot of AAA games, these suckers are big. I mean, anywhere from 50 to, God only knows, a couple hundred gig. Like I remember everybody talking about the Call of Duty games being a couple hundred gig and just being massive in size. So there you go. But if
Section,
I go up
apps,
here,
games, 8 items, button, games window, group header, sorted by AZ, as dusk falls, included with game, Burnout Revenge, 2 of 8. The Darkness, 3 of 8. Halo Infinite, 4, High on Life, coming soon, include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, included with My Games and Apps games window, The Veil, Vampire Survivors, included with Game Pass, The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, 7 of 8.
so some of these I own, some of these I've gotten through Game Pass. And then what I also tried, and I can try to remember to talk about this during the review, but I'll mention it here because it does tie into accessibility. If you have Game Pass Ultimate, especially, or Game Pass, there was a game that I was sort of curious about. I was going to, when I had my HP computer, I was going to try the games for Windows 1, or the Xbox for Windows 1, and it was called Shredders. It's a snowboarding game. And I'm like, well, I like a good snowboarding game every once in a while. And think about, like, let's say you don't know if a game is going to be accessible for you, and especially if it's a large game. Rather than going through the whole process of downloading this ginormous game, especially if you have a bandwidth cap, don't download it right away. Instead, you'll get a notification when you're browsing through the store if it's also streamable, and you can stream the game just like you would a streaming video from YouTube or Netflix or whatever, pick your video service of choice. And it doesn't take long to go. And I played it for a little while. I played, probably a good half an hour of it, and I decided, I'm not gonna fully download this because there was a lot of focus on, like, you were snowboarding, but you always had to. They were really focused on, like, these flags that you had to, like, either go around or knock down or whatever. Just like a lot of skiing or snowboarding games, and even, like, I remember Wave Race on the N64. It was more about slaloming through these stupid flags than it was just going through like a course on down the snow or through the water. So it's a really good way to not waste a ton of time and bandwidth to see if a game is accessible for you. And then, like I said, if it is, then you can download it, even if it's on Game Pass. Then you can download it for local storage and play it at any time. But between like you pay for the Game Pass subscription, and then you can try a game, essentially for free on top of that, and then you can also stream it, and it just
Home
works.
window,
So that's a
navigation,
really good
my
way to
games and
test whether a game might be accessible for you or not without going through a lot of hassle. Let's drop down to the store really quick before we wrap up here. Oh, the other thing that I want to mention before we go to the store, I talked about video. I have set up a few different video apps, and most of them work. I have not tried YouTube yet, um, but I have, well, let me see. Let's go into
Content block, navigation. My games and apps. 19
apps.
apps window. Disney Plus, events, friends and Game Pass, HBO, Prime Video, Xbox support, Xbox, Twitch, settings, YouTube.
Let's go into YouTube and just see if it does
Dialogue.
speak, because I'm
Close
curious.
button. 1 of 1.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's fine.
Apps window. Group
Wait,
header.
what?
Sorted by settings. YouTube. 19. Dialogue. Close button. 1.
Close what? Sorry, we can't launch this? Why not? YouTube can't be used while you're... Oh, remotely. Oh, right.
Apps
Okay,
window.
yeah,
Group
yeah, yeah,
header.
yeah.
Sorted by AZ. Home
Okay,
window.
fair. But what I will say is I've tried HBO Max. I believe I did Disney Plus, and I did Amazon Video. All of those do read with Narrator. However, I didn't fully get through the login process because I was running out of time when I was setting everything up. Netflix, from my experience so far, interestingly, does not seem to speak. And I will have to try it again to verify. But when I tried to go through the login, none of the buttons read or anything. So Netflix on the Xbox Series may not read. So if you are a blind user that is going to game, but you also want to watch some streaming video content, just know that going in. That is really unfortunate, and I hope they do fix that in the near future. But I wanted to let you know about, because media streaming is a big feature of modern consoles, and so it's good for you to know that. Let's go
Content
down
block.
to the
Xbox Live.
store.
Entertainment block. Events block. Game Pass block. Store block. Block 6 of 9. Contents. Store. Microsoft
So I'll
Store
just go
window.
into the store and
Search.
show you
Search.
just briefly
Button.
here. So when you're in the store, you have on the very
Press View button to
left-hand
close the store
side,
menu. Move
I
right for
hit
home
I hit
submenu. 2 of
left.
10.
You have another vertical menu, and this is where you can be like, there's a search at the top, but then you have
Move right for home submenu. Move right for game submenu. Move right for movies and TV. Move right for app submenu. Move right for hardware submenu. Move right for list submenu. Move right for cart submenu. Redeem a code. 9 of 10. Button. Move right for home submenu. 2. Move right for game submenu. 3 of 10.
so this is different from your, this is when I hit right, it's going to go into a submenu. This isn't taking you to an actual page of the store. This is, it's kind of your menu navigation
Games
here.
home. 1 of 10.
So let's say
Button.
that I want
Add-ons. 2. Subscriptions. New games. Coming soon. Top paid. Top free. Most played. Game specials. By genre. 10 of 10. But game specials. 9 of 10. Most played. Top free. Top paid. Coming soon.
let's go there. Let's see what we
Press
got.
menu button to open quick actions. Press X button to filter. Hello Neighbor 2 Standard Edition. 1 of the Firefighting Simulator. Button. Davos Heroes. 3 of the Rumblefish 2. Pre-order. Button. Dad's Monster House. 5 of 37. Button. Life Fairytale Prologue Bundle.
I
6
haven't
of
even
37.
heard of some of these.
Original price $17.99. Cassiodora. 12 of 30. Button. Grime. 11 of 30. Button. Crisis Core Final Fantasy. Crisis Core Final Fantasy. Button. High on Life. 8. Button. Afterglitch. 7 of 37. Airy. Path of Corruption. 13 of 37.
See, when I hit X here to shut it up, it brings up a menu.
2022. 2 languages supported. Family and kids. Racing and fly. Press X button to close. Press View button to close the store menu.
So the games when you're in the store are in a grid. There's like 5 or 6 across, and then you can arrow down. But when you get to the left, the problem is if you go too far, it's going to pop you back in to that main store menu where you choose games, apps, movies, videos, whatever. And if you want to just back out of that and go back to the screen you're on, just hit B. Button. And then you're back in where your current games list
19
is.
of 37.
So we got the Dead Space remake.
Button. Dead Space Digital Deluxe Edition.
Okay.
20 button. Deliver Us Mars. 21
so
of 37.
There you go. I mean, that is kind of the store.
Home. Search.
It's pretty self-explanatory. I'll show you the let's look at the keyboard real quick.
Press U button to close the store menu. Move right. Search. Opening search. Cap Y.
So there you go. You got the big keyboard up there. And I do remember when I was looking at it originally, it was a bit smaller. So I like the contrast. I like the dark version of the keyboard there. That works really well. Narrator does speak if I arrow through it.
Cap E. Cap R. Cap F. Cap G, Cap H, Cap G, Cap F.
So I could hit A to type, I could hit X to back up, your typical keyboard interface. So that works well. And when you're done, you can arrow up higher than the keyboard and it'll take you to the row of options, your search results. So that's how that works. So really, what I would say is it will take you maybe a little bit of practice to get used to how things are laid out. But once you get that, I mean, Narrator does read everything. I really haven't run into anything that it doesn't read so far. So that works quite well. And if I go into,
Home.
let's go out of the store in
Home window.
general. Let's go all the
Content.
way to the top here. Let's go back into my
Recently
recently
used.
played.
Launch. Vampire Survivor.
Let's go into the old Vampire Survivors here. And what I like about the Series S is there's really not a lot of loading time. You're just in there, and there's a quick resume feature where I don't remember how many games it supports, but like the last so many games that you've played, you can kind of bounce back and forth between them. So like, oh, you come home one night and you're like, I want to play this game. The next night you come home like, I want to play this other game. And you kind of bounce back and forth depending on your mood. You don't have to like always start from the beginning and load the game, go through all the title screens and logos and whatever. It'll just kind of remember right where you were. So, it only takes maybe 3 seconds or so and then you're back in. So that's a really nice feature. But if I hit the Xbox button,
Guide for BGFH window. Home and My Games and
okay,
Apps.
there we
Guide
go.
tab.
So
1
we
6.
can,
My Games and Apps. Home. Hold. My Games and Recent.
this is that
BGFH is playing
menu.
remotely.
This is that menu that, that had your little multi-page dialog box kind of a thing. I can hit my left and right here.
People tab. Parties and chat. Game activity tab. Capture and share tab. Profile and system capture.
So there you go. There's not really a lot else to say about the interface. Like I said, it does work really well. I do recommend that you go under that captions area or whatever and say have game or let games read to me. Definitely check that so that some of your games will support text to speech and they'll work. But overall, I think that the narrator and magnifier both features work pretty well for the system. And my only real wish now is that the Xbox would get a couple more real AAA games, a few more games that were totally blind playable. I mean, yeah, we have the fighting games that people have been playing forever. We do have As Dusk Falls, which is a fantastic game, by the way. Really, really good story. I did a video of the PC version this summer. Check that out if you missed it because it is a good game. And I might play it for the achievements on the Xbox here too and actually choose some different options, see how the story branches a little bit. But you have the Veil, you have Minecraft Dungeons, I would say is more low vision friendly, but it does have text to speech, so reading the menus and items that you're walking over, letting you know what you're picking up. It's got some accessibility. Forza Horizon, even though it's, the driving is a little bit automated when you turn all the blindy things on, people can still play, they can still participate in that game quite a bit. But there's nothing really quite like The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 that the PlayStation has. There's really, even God of War, it has its issues. The longer I played the God of War, the more accessibility issues I had with like traversal and especially puzzles. Um, but even then, like I said, I think if you're looking for like massive games, I think Sony still has kind of the edge right now. But I'm hoping, 2023, we'll see what we get for announcements at the Game Awards. By the time this video comes out, the Game Awards might have already happened. But Microsoft has been buying up developers and publishers quite a bit for the past several years, and so now is about the time that some of this should start resulting in some actual games. And so I'm hoping that some of these will have some accessibility features in them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful. If you are considering an Xbox Series S or X at some point here in the future, If you go under, I think it should also be under the game accessibility playlist. I do have a video for the PlayStation 5 accessibility, so you can check that out and kind of compare. But overall, it's really, really nice to see that both of these major modern consoles um, have both blind and low vision accessibility features built in. Now, if Nintendo and Valve would just get their acts together and support the Switch and Steam Decks respectively, we'd be in business. Oh, and don't forget Oculus. I wish they would do something too. But anyway, that's where we are going to wrap it up. Hope you guys found it helpful. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally cited, illegally cited.com, and right here on YouTube. Until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.